You can see that there was once a large arch entryway there, it appears. How well these rather shallow buttresses worked. And we'll keep walking down this street. The difference at this corner, and this may have been a gate where you see a stairway going up and the tower is recessed to accommodate it. Looks like an old building with some kind of, sounds like church choral music. I say choral, I mean that very early kind of music, almost I think pre-Renaissance, pre-1400s, when it was just the voice, and later instruments added. If this has any true provenance, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. It's a machine that looks like it has wheels that you turn that perhaps open up the doors. Other than it gave you a flat wall, which is important, but you can see that that was once a big wall anyway. This is a very curious device. Look at the sets of wheels. Also notice that smaller one there looks like it can be driven by a belt. So maybe some kind of motor held down below, but notice there's a whole series of windows below. Haven't got a clue. Who knows? It's Archimedes' water pump, I think. Maybe not. No, it just looks like it. And living in that little place there. How quaint. Often seen in churches rather than here, so it's probably just an antique saved. So where we were had something to do with that, I believe, or this. It looked like a church. Could it have been a monastery? Eppingi Tower, interactive museum. It looks like another buttress, and yet underneath it you can see not only the outlines of an archway there, but also at least one doorway in the center, and perhaps a different use beyond that. The old building with a little scrap of wall or roof protruding. And our next tower with a different kind of stairway. Looking back the narrow street we just walked, inside of this city wall portion, the view of this church that we've been looking at. The building reminds me of something I saw in the literature. I just don't remember which country it was in. And it was like, I think, something to do with water well. It was or a mill that was operated by horses or something. But this looks like it's a I'm correct, this is a horse mill. Remnant of old building. Always fun to see this kind of thing. Next to it, I think, is an old building, maybe a series of them, restored. Standing thing they've done for wanderers is to put these interpretive signs on the important buildings that remain. So whenever you see something like this, you can assume it has some kind of provenance in the past. A medieval group of three houses called Three Sisters, one of the most stylish examples of late Gothic burgher architecture, first mentioned in 1372. They're called the Three Sisters, a la the Three Brothers in Riga, although don't think it has the same kind of historical background. The sense that these were built all at the same time, I believe. But you can see the upstairs used for storage. And the other two floors, probably like the house we did see in Riga. Interesting front door. Don't know what that cavity up above the door was for, though. Really fascinating is this portion up here. This bit of carving in the center of the door. Next to this next tower that I've walked down to, and next to between it and the Three Sisters, is this interesting building. And I'll go over and try and find out what it was. All but abandoned wall on the inside. It's a continuation of the wall we were walking before. It ended at that horse mill, and this is where it continues on. Inside the great coastal gate, you can see that it's a tower and another huge tower, if not a bastion. I think it's a tower. Looks like a interesting firing port, unless it had some other function. The groove that the door would slide up and down in, and then over there you can see the hinge posts for the doors that would swing closed. But we'll come back and explore this in greater detail later. Continue to that tower, if I can get to it. Here, this is the end point of that park, but rather just a little remaining chunk of wall that's converted into a mini park on top. Behind me is the great coastal tower, or two. A few more of these older houses, but who knows what the age is. Just a pan and a telephoto up this pretty street. Not sure what this church is. It may have been one that I saw on the tour. This is Old House Hostel and Apartments. I just stumbled on it when I was walking yesterday at the end of the last bit of video you saw before this. And so now we'll continue on my little jaunt from yesterday. Interesting, this is an absolutely classy place. I mean, a real B&B boutique-like place. The price is the same, $22 for a bed, as the last place I was in, which was an absolute dump. Classic youth hostel or backpacker place. This is a tower I think I could see from the other street where the Great Coastal Tower is, which is what I think that is on the other side of this block. What these things are, I've seen them on several steps here, but I don't know what they're for. This part comes up for some reason, so I don't know what that is for. Right down at the end of my street, just a short half block away, is this area. This chunk of wall here is just another stub of that original wall, only on the right side of this Great Coastal Tower. We looked at the left side yesterday.